Hey survivors, it's your sister from another Mr. Lovely Fly Shy, back with a very important message. It's gonna be partly a message, partly my experience, how it started, what have you. So in this video, we're going to be discussing gang stalking and what that has looked like to me. Now, I know that I wasn't as descriptive and detailed as I probably should have been in my initial video, but hey, here I am today to bring you my truth, my experience, all right? So let me get comfortable, y'all. I have to change my shirt and all of that. Okay. So my first experience with gang stalking, I want to say began somewhere around like 2019-ish when I lived in my old complex. And basically, what was occurring was, for some reason, I guess my neighbors had some type of one-sided falling out with me. They just decided, oh, she's our victim, she's our target, you know. Meanwhile, I've always been the type to stay to myself, you know. I'm very respectful. I don't mind speaking when spoken to, and or, you know, just speaking period, but sometimes I do prefer just waiting until I'm spoken to, because I don't want to transfer any type of energy with anyone, you know, because I'm very fond of that, and you know, that's just me. But back to the point. So my neighbors basically started ganging up on me, doing just different like little subtle attacks. For example, every time I would go outside, they would just be like, look at her, just all this other shit under their breath. I didn't give a hell, child, because at that point I was just like, I was going through my own thing, and I've always been like the type of person where, up until this point, of course, but I'm just not confrontational. But at the same token, I have a temper. So it was just building up. And it just like got to the point where I'm like, y'all are just clearly haters, like hating for no reason. Like, I'm not worried about any of you guys. So as time progressed, though, I lived downstairs from one of my neighbors, and they would just bang all day and night, you know, all day and night. And I didn't, you know, of course, I didn't make a fuss about it. I guess I ignored it. I ignored it. It just kept building up. So then one of them started trying to pick at, because she couldn't get under my skin, she started like saying little stuff to my daughter, who at the time was only like 4 or 5 years old. So you're saying little slick stuff to teenagers, because my sister was involved or in the picture at the time, because she was helping me babysit my kids. And so one of the girls, I remember, like, she would just come at my daughter, like my daughter would just simply stare at her or say something to her or say hello, and she would like say boo, boo, like to my daughter, like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? Like, you gotta really be a hateful, envious, miserable, cruel soul to come at a child like that. So that's when I started, you know, of course, pressing the issue. Like, it had got to the point where I was ready to go to war with all 4 of them, you know, behind my child. And that's exactly what they wanted me to do. Wanted me to get out of character. And, you know, I had read a gentleman's comment, you know, not too long ago, and he was saying something along the lines of, this is a quick sidebar, by the way, but he was saying something along the lines of not understanding like where this starts, or how it starts, why it starts, and why do people just randomly start picking on you, especially if you're not like what they call a conspiracy theorist or truther, truth seeker, soul searcher, whatever. I guess according to him, he hadn't even been looking into any of that stuff, you know, spying, or what they call it. But what I want you all to understand is, as much as it is mental, physical, and emotional, you know, in this physical sense, on this physical plane, it's more so spiritual. You know, it's energetic. You know, it's done to pull on you mentally, psychologically, emotionally, just to build up that energy enough to give them the exact reaction that they need, which in turn is that energy that they can now transmute and steal from you and deplete you from, and to keep you from your mission and your purpose and what you were placed on this earth to do. Now, I know that may seem a bit far-fetched, especially if you aren't, you know, as I mentioned with him, if you aren't exactly on your spiritual journey and you don't really understand the depths and of what we are currently as a collective experiencing. You know, even if you aren't particularly being gang stalked, you know, I'm pretty sure you're going through some sort of spiritual attack, some sort of mental attack to keep you distracted and focused on low vibrational things and just to keep you stuck, basically. So the experience now, it's kind of similar. For example, I wouldn't say we had like a falling out, but we definitely exchanged words, because first of all, you're too damn grown for the shit. But, you know, I have a neighbor downstairs, and I noticed that, you know, well, my daughters noticed it first, and then one day I heard her do it. And my kids, you know, we live upstairs from her, and of course I don't allow them to just bump and run and just be vicious with it. And, you know, I do correct the behavior, you know. And so, lo and behold, she would start like bumping up here and everything. Meanwhile, a week prior to me coming into the realization of that, she and I exchanged words. And she was just like, oh, I understand they're kids, trying to brush it off and be all fake. Then in the next breath, go and try to ask if I had weed and all that. So I peeped that from the get-go. I'm just like, first off, you're weird as hell. You know, when you could just come up here instead of fucking getting a broom or whatever kind of object and hitting up here like a fucking immature ass teenager or child. You know, when you could come up here and say, hey, you know, whatever, but shit in the afternoon, on the weekends, things like that, when, you know, my kids are here, or when my daughter is here throughout the week, you can expect not to hear nobody walking on fucking eggshells. You know, you can expect to hear some sort of fucking noise, some sort of indication that someone lives above you, right? So that shit. And then, like I mentioned in the prior video, the other neighbor downstairs, like every time I go outside, like she does the same thing. Turning her fucking nose up, rolling her eyes, slamming her door, you know, just doing that microaggression type shit, that passive aggressive type shit, like somebody's really about to feed into it, you know, because basically that's the whole point of it all, is to receive a fucking reaction, and a negative one at that. You know, and once I've come to that conclusion, like, of course, I'm still going to do what I have to do in terms of getting me and mine into a better situation. You know, I'm being divinely directed. I'm being divinely guided. And most of all, I'm being divinely protected. So that's why no matter how stressful it gets and how annoying it gets at times, it's like, I know that I'm above this shit. I know that I'm stronger than this shit. You know, and I want you all to realize that within yourself as well, you know, because if you give them what you're looking for, you've just very well given your power away, for real. And so environment is everything, but it seems like no matter what, because I've seen stories of people living in Hollywood, the suburbs, dealing with it. You know, law enforcement can be in on it. Family can be getting paid to stalk and spy on you. Like, there's been so many different accounts, so many different archives of information that basically goes unnoticed, and and brushed off as somebody being crazy or having some type of mental illness or something, or being on drugs and just out of their freaking minds. You know, and I think that's what silences people to shame with, you know, and not wanting to share their experience, no matter how, whether it's like mild to moderate or just severe, no matter how, like where you fall in line, it's still happening. You know, and until people realize that this is a real thing and stop brushing it off as somebody is psychotic or crazy, then this will continue to go on. And the transgressors will continue to get away with it. You know, but I also believe it's where you choose to redirect your energy. You have to be stronger than what was set in your path, or is being set in your path to attempt to hinder you, you know? And I know that may sound easier said than done than some folks, but I'm just at a place where I'm not giving my power away. I'm not about to be silenced to shame. I'm not about to give these people the power over me just because they're hateful, evil losers trying to see what the fuck I'm doing, because they know who I am. And that's not coming from a cocky standpoint. It can mean anything. You could be anything. You can be quiet. They hate that, so they'll gang stalk you. You know, you can be clean. They see you cleaning up all the time. They hate that, so they'll stalk you. Like, you guys, it gets real. But when you be able to balance out and be able to divert your energy where it's needed and not allow certain situations to derail you off your path and not scare you or put you in this state of fear and paranoia. Like, don't get me wrong, like there are days where it's a little too much. The energy is a little too much for me. And what I mean by that is basically I'll get this feeling like, fuck, somebody's watching me. And then the reason why, you know, I think I don't really share it as much or really talk about it, more so just write and work with my spirit guides and my spiritual team about it, because again, I'm divinely protected, you know, and I'm a believer of something and someone higher than myself. So therefore, not only do I have faith in my own power and in my own will, but in divine power and higher power, you know. So yeah, like it's just those feelings where you're like, oh my God, like somebody's watching me. You feel like you're being followed. And some people will be like, oh, why would somebody want to follow you or stalk you? Like it gets deep. But just know I'm fighting the great fight right along with you guys. You can be getting gang stalked from just anything, any type of vices. You can be getting gang stalked from a drug dealer, fuck the casino. Like, this shit gets real. You know, it gets real. And speaking of which, I think one of the agents is outside right now. I can't make this shit up, look. Every time I have this fucking window open. So I'm not sure if you guys seen it, but basically my curtains were just like, the blinds were opened. And there was like two people across the way right over there. And I noticed that them and this other guy always fucking comes outside. And it's like, I don't know if because like I told you guys, I have this little screen mesh thing. But like now I'm starting to think they possibly can see in here. And I know like this probably sounds crazy, but I couldn't make that up. Why were they pointing over here? And I wasn't talking that fucking loud. And that's quite a distance to be able to hear someone, you know, considering all the outside noise, right? So this is the type of things that like people that get gang stalked go through. Like my neighbor, he's fucking incredibly weird and he gives me the fucking worst fucking vibes in the world. every time I see him, like, he tries his hardest to get me to give him some fucking type of eye contact. He tries his hardest to just, I don't fucking know, like interact with me or something. Like, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm all that or I'm somebody to interact with, but goddamn, like, every fucking time, like, this doesn't fail. And I apologize for my strong language. I apologize for my passionates, but like, this has been going on, I think, honestly, since I first moved in here. It's like, have y'all never seen like a colored person? Or like, I just don't know. And I don't even think it's that, because it's even my own people that's doing it to me. So again, like I said, I'm not tripping off of it, but I'm just ready to fucking get the hell from over here, because I don't like that. No, like, who would? And I can't make it up, you know. That's another thing that kept me quiet. It's because I was so worried about, oh my God, what are people gonna think? But people are entitled to think what they want to think. I know what I'm experiencing, you know, and it's all gonna come out in the wash, though. What goes on in the dark, or what do they say? What happens in the dark comes to the light. And that's basically what's happening now. It gets deep, and I guess those of whom are experiencing this, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know, am I a fucking alien or something? Like, it just, I don't know what it is. I go outside to check the mail. Here come the bitch from downstairs. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like clockwork. I go to the store. Here come everybody coming outside trying to ask me fucking questions. You know? And I can differentiate realness from you having some very skewed off energy and you just being nosy and an energy vampire and trying to think you finna get some information out of someone. Like, I don't know what these people thought around here. I really don't. Like, I really can't wait to get from over here, though. Like, you know, the Most High knows that I'm grateful and thankful to have a roof over my head, because this time last year, you know, I was living in a weekly. Like, you know, I wasn't on my feet like I am this year, you know, and there's been a lot of just elevation. You know, I've been growing, I've been transforming, but what comes with that is these little fucking immature ass gang stalkers. And like I said, it's the same people every day. The same people. And that's why I'm just like, are y'all getting paid? Like, who's paying y'all? Like, this is my life. But just know, I fear thy not. I know thyself. I know what power that I possess within, and I'm not gonna let none of this shit get under my skin, but I will expose it. I will expose it, and I will not be silent about it anymore. Simple as that.